You guys have also done a really good job on the BD side. You just announced
Yeah.
recently partnerships with Polygon and also Celestia.
Mhm.
Can you maybe
Yeah.
explain briefly for those that missed the announcements, like what these partnerships are about?
Yeah. So, Saga is, as you can tell, it's a bit of a BD machine. We acquire a lot of projects that build on this ecosystem, and honestly, that is a big part of our competitive advantage. But at the same time, it's a really cool technology platform that attracts these projects. Earlier this year, we took a look at what it is we're building, and we were asking ourselves, is there a way that this can be generalized? So, how the flow works on Saga is a developer will take their smart contract or application, and as long as it's been deployed in some sort of virtual machine environment, they can automatically get it onto a dedicated chain, which we call a chainlet. The holding is currently on Cosmos. So we are a Cosmos chain. All the chainlets are Cosmos chains as well. They come equipped with a Cosmos SDK, including IBC. So all the chainlets speak to one another. It's a great system. But there are a lot of app chain solutions out there. And we were noticing that these app chain solutions, they are essentially going down the same path that Cosmos has already gone down many, many years ago. So Cosmos, because it was app chain first from the very beginning, it has already run into a lot of the roadblocks around building app chains. And for people like Polygon or Binance, when they do their app chain solutions, they inevitably find out that these roadblocks are not just because the particular or that Cosmos was early in looking at app chains, they are just inherent to building app chains. And so we were thinking to ourselves, Cosmos has this wonderful technology stack. Saga has a special value proposition in the sense that we automate the instantiation of these chains, and we're able to automatically orchestrate instantiation and maintenance of these chains. Are those value propositions that we can bring to other ecosystems with their app chain solutions? And so with Celestia, that was first dipping our toe in the water because Celestia is also Cosmos, but they are doing the roll-up architecture. So we thought, is there a way to generalize chainlets to roll-ups? And turns out there is. So with Celestia, we are doing roll-ups as a service. A lot of people claim to be roll-ups as a service. I would say our main differentiator is twofold. One is, again, in that automation piece, but secondly, most rollups are still centralized. So there is a single sequencer that is servicing this particular rollup. In our case, because you're looking at the Saga validator set for each of these rollups, it is decentralized sequencers as a service out of the box. So super excited about Celestia. And then we generalized even further to Polygon. So Polygon is not the Cosmos stack, obviously. Polygon has their own stack, and their app chain solution is called Supernets. It is based on the Polygon Edge stack. They also have their own set of validators. Obviously, Matic validators have been validating the Polygon POS chain for a long time. They expect to be rewarded, and they expect to participate in the validation of Supernets. And so we figured out a way such that they can continue to have their Supernets be validated by these Matic validators. However, the Saga chainlets are responsible, again, for that automated instantiation of the supernets, their orchestration, and their maintenance over time. In that sense, we have generalized the ability to spin up dedicated block space on Saga. There are some other announcements coming down the pike for other app chain solutions in other ecosystems, but this is the opportunity that we saw in the market that on the one hand, we had the value proposition in terms of our tech stack being uniquely able to automate the spinning up of app chains and generally dedicated block space. On the other hand, other ecosystems, they were looking for this technology, and they also have additional developers, projects, community, et cetera, that could be onboarded onto Saga. So that's what's motivating these partnerships. It's a theme that will continue for the rest of the year.
And then Saga chainlets, they're also basically renting security from the Saga mainnet, right? So they don't have their own validator set, is that correct?
No, they all have their own validator set. So all chainlets are chains in their own right, but they share the same validator set as the Saga mainnet. So in other words, there are no decisions for developers to make when they are deploying on Sagas. The security layer has been completely abstracted away from them. We're just replicating the security model of the Saga mainnet onto each chainlet, but chainlets are all chains in their own right.
So it's basically like the Cosmos Hub replicated security model in that sense, right? Or how does it differentiate? Maybe you can explain how that works.
Yeah. So a couple of things there. I would say that for the Cosmos Hub and how they're implementing interchain security. So first off, there is no governance component to Saga, or at least in terms of launching a chainlet or consumer chain. So in our minds, when we think about chainlets as dedicated block space, we want people to start thinking of these things as AWS instances, basically. And you know how a developer uses AWS to develop. They basically stand up these boxes like candy. Whenever they need a test environment or as they're getting into production, they just keep standing up these environments to make the development process easier. It should be the same for a dedicated block space. So our idea is, if you're going to make it as easy for developers to stand up the space as possible, then it needs to be a permissionless system. So our system is permissionless. The security layer between the application and the rest of the system is that virtual machine. But on Saga, if you want a chainlet, you get a chainlet, versus on the hub, you can deploy any sort of random Go code. So no virtual machine necessary. However, you do have to go through the governance process in order to be approved as a consumer chain. That's the biggest difference. And honestly, it really does inform all the other differences between us and hub implementation of ICS. So we are looking at high volume versus the hub, which I think is looking for sort of those blue chip projects that are going to be using hub security. So it's lower in volume, but it's a different flavor of project. Yeah, it's really around token economics. So for us, the Saga chainlets are paid for. We have the benefit of being a new system, and so we can come up with whatever token economics we like for the protocol. The chainlets are paid for in Saga tokens that are given directly from the developer to the validators. That's our business model, essentially. And so we get away from any sort of messiness around staking, stake weight, things like that. I mean, obviously, those considerations are necessary for any POS chain, and we deal with that with respect to our validators. But in terms of projects that are launching on us, it really is that straight payment of Saga tokens that will enable them to keep their chainlets alive.
Yeah.